being human, I don't think he ever answered that question. We'll have to leave it. Anyway, there we are. But I believe in living in the sunshine. And therefore it is most important that the whole school understands the direction and what's happening. Now, what is the position? The position is that the other board, opposition, have failed, as I understand it, to convince another international bank or perhaps another group of investors that they are a good credit risk to the extent of $1 million, because frankly, in order to take out the position of the Royal Bank of Canada, you need $1 million, approximately. Which is, now, the Royal Bank of Canada wrote to the Kingsway Academy, attention myself, on the 21st of December, because it had been served this order. The Royal Bank of Canada in the past had consistently and very carefully monitored the position with the, shall we say, the former board, the low board, or perhaps the high board, or the Royal Bank on the November the 18th, 98, which is quite recent, had said, the board I mentioned were primarily concerned with expanding the facility without the benefit of a sound financing plan. So if we go back to what Mr. Lowe said, remember in his letter that he's been pounding away on his typewriter, that remember he said about this 18-month review, etc., etc.? Well, the bank says they were primarily concerned with expanding the facility without the benefit of a sound financing plan. The bank also said, as the financial statements revealed, we were funding deficits, that is, the Royal Bank of Canada were funding deficits, that is, losses, for the past 3 periods, and were also funding one for the current fiscal year. So in other words, the school had been operating a loss, and the bank had been funding the losses. Now, anyone in business knows that you're on the quick way to death. Now, notwithstanding this, the bank says, they still felt, that is, the low board or the high board, still felt it was feasible to proceed with expanding the institution. Obviously, and I carry on, I'm simply quoting from the Royal Bank of Canada, decisions were not being made in the best interest of the school. Now, that is the position of the bank in dealing with the former board. Mrs. Harrison and Mr. Johnson were sent on a wild goose chase around Nassau to find $1.5 million. Obviously, no one lent them $1.5 million. And in my opinion, as a professional accountant, the level of indebtedness in the long run which this school can afford, given its present costing, its present level of staffing, and its present student level, is $750,000. And that amount can be repaid over 7 years, but you cannot expect the bank to continue paying for the school's losses. And any able board must and has the legal, moral, and financial obligation to run the school at a profit, or at least a break-even position. Therefore, the Royal Bank of Canada, and I now read to you the letter to me dated the 21st of December 98, says, to whom it may concern, further to our conversation of earlier today, we note below the bank's position as a result of the recent court decision to reinstate the previous board. There will be no, listen carefully, there will be no further financial support until such time that the bank is totally satisfied that the board in place has the confidence and the support of the parents at large. And a concise mandate is prepared outlining the present financial position of the school and projections going forward that meet with the support of the PTA to make the school viable within the foreseeable future. In other words, if the parents, after all, if the school is going to borrow $1.5 million, who's going to pay it back? Well, surely, if the school is going to borrow $1.5 million and the parents are supposed to pay it back, surely the parents should be told, shouldn't it? Well, I mean, to the best of my knowledge and belief, and I may be wrong in this, I do not believe that the parents were told that Mrs. Harrison and Mr. Johnson were galloping around Nassau for about 6 months trying to raise $1.5 million, which frankly, if it had been raised, I really wonder how the school could pay it back. So, Mrs. Harrison received a letter from Mr. Bruce Lowe in December in which he categorically stated that he was taking control of the school back, or words to that effect. And I believe from the 21st of December until the 4th of January, nothing else happened. Now, if you maintain that you are taking control of the school back, and if you maintain that you are the legal authority, then you have a financial, moral, and legal responsibility to administer the school properly. However, we came to the position only a few days ago in which the question of the payroll has come up. Now, on the 5th of January, Mrs. Harrison wrote to Mr. Bruce Lowe, Chairman, Board of Directors, "Dear Bruce, with reference to your letter of December 21st, 1998, in which you claim to represent the legal board," that was his claim, "I write to inform you of pending urgent financial responsibilities that demand immediate attention." Now, I mean, to the best of my knowledge and belief, nothing had happened between the 21st of December and the 5th of January. There's a loan of $410,000. There's an overdraft, listen, ladies and gentlemen, $544,000. Add that, that's nearly $1 million, isn't it? The teacher's salaries due on the 5th of January are $53,000. The teacher's salaries due on the 19th of January are $107,000. The auxiliary weekly salaries administrative is another $34,000. There's $115,000 worth of national insurance not paid. Now these are, ladies and gentlemen, these are the facts. Now, to the best of my knowledge and belief, when the salaries are paid, the national insurance is deducted therefrom, isn't it? So therefore, what has happened is that the teachers have had the national insurance deducted therefrom, but it has not been paid to the government. Therefore, I beg your pardon? I'm sorry? The what? Oh, I said the pocket. Oh. All right. The other point is that the pension contributions are 17 months overdue. I remember I was read a letter recently that an audit had been concluded of the school's affairs. The cost for your interest $45,000. I'm wondering whether or not the board informed you then it had this, that the audit would cost $45,000. There's also $80,000 worth of supplies to be paid, because you have to have school supplies. Now, if you add up this horrendous list, it's tremendous, isn't it? Now, the fees for the winter term would be about roughly $730,000. At the time of writing this letter, we collected only 46% of that. So, the question is that if you maintain on one hand that you've done a wonderful job for the bright future of Kingsway, on the other hand that you are running the school, the question is what are you doing about these? And the salaries were paid because of the, by and large, the plan which is already in with the bank. At the present moment, I rang the bank this morning, we're $340,000 overdrawn. Now, I know that's 340 plus 410, but remember, a considerable portion of this firm's fees are in. The school, unfortunately, at the present moment is closed. I don't see any great rush to pay until it opens. Therefore, this position is not going to much improve, is it? However, unfortunately, interest is ticking every day. And the longer we wait here, the worse the economic position of the school becomes. Now, that unfortunately is where we are. And remember that the last position, a written position from the Royal Bank of Canada, gave us an overdrawn ceiling, even temporary, of $360,000, which is where we are now. So the question I must ask the gentleman and all his board who are in place, who is going to pay, and from what direction are they going to pay the $140,000 worth of salaries which are due shortly, the national insurance, the pensions, the supplies, and so on? That's a very, very important question. And if you maintain that you have the legal, moral, and financial responsibility of running the school, then you have to do it. And if you don't do it, then of course you fail in your responsibilities. Now that, I'm sorry to say, ladies and gentlemen, does not thrill the soul, but, you know, I deal in facts and figures, and they are the facts, and they are the figures, and that is the position of the Royal Bank, and there has to be a solution to that. And if you maintain that you have the position, then you must also, or the legal position, you must also assume the moral and financial responsibilities which go with that. So I would presume, therefore, if I was sitting in the Royal Bank of Canada, I would be waiting for the low group to submit a financial planning projection which would enable the bank to be satisfied. But however, in order to do that, they must somehow convince the bank that they have the support of the teachers and the support of the parents. Thank you.
In light of what happened today, I would like to ask the representative of the teachers to come up and speak, Ms. Kathy Pritchett.
Good evening. We were just told a second ago that the gentleman deals in figures and facts. And the teachers also deal in figures and facts. The event that took place today was certainly nothing that we wanted to happen, but it was necessary. I would like to thank the parents for standing with us, for supporting us. With an overwhelming feeling. And I just want to say here very quickly before I go any further that we are just in awe, because we have personal responsibilities, we have things that we have to take care of, and the picture that has just been painted to us on our financial status is most staggering. I stated to the press in the early meeting yesterday that we were not prepared to back down. Then we sent a letter of resignation, requesting the resignation of and to this point, there has been no letter placed in my hands, nor I don't think anyone else's. I haven't been informed of it. I really don't know what to do right at this point, believe me. I'm going to say at this point, and I hope you understand this, we are going to sit out tomorrow. And let me tell you why. We need the time to communicate with God and pray for ourselves, for wisdom, for a miracle. We're believing God for a miracle. And we also want you to know, we will not work with that board. We will not. But this group of people that is on this platform, they have our complete cooperation. I also want to thank those that were responsible for the Christmas bonus that we got this year, which we hadn't had in a long time. And I want to openly say, thank you, thank you, thank you to whoever you were. It really doesn't matter whether we know who you were. We appreciate everything that was done for us. God bless you.
I find the recitation of facts rather discouraging, but I have a flashback to a board meeting about 1966 when we hit a brick wall. There was no way forward, and one said, I have to see the light at the end of the tunnel before I start down the tunnel. To which Elisha Piper replied, I have no idea how it's going to happen, but I believe God. Now, I'm standing here to tell Elisha there was no school at that time to speak of. And now there's a school with 853 students in it. And there's 13 acres here. So I certainly, at this point of view, I believe God. And I'm going to make a suggestion that I haven't even run by the board. And that is this. Clarita has taken great pains to belabor the legal documentation for the association and the board, and also to substantiate that the former board has no legal status. That does not mean we do not appreciate all that they did. I have never met the board, but I truly have warmth in my heart. I have no animosity to the board. However, I would like to state that we have a legal board in place. Why are we wasting our time even listening to these few dissidents? Let us have school. Let us, our new board act, our association act, our parents stand with us, our children be taught, and let us go forward and not look to the left or to the right or to the wrong. I believe if we will go forward in faith, we will pay no attention to the dissidents. We will go forward. I believe that with the parents behind us, as obviously there are the parents behind us, the teachers behind us, the Ministry of Education is behind us, many of the churches, I believe, are behind us. I believe the whole Bahamas community is behind us. Let us go forward and let God open the windows of heaven and pour us out his blessings. He has promised me way back when I hardly knew about the finances, the former rain and the latter rain in the first month. Lord, this is January. We need a rain, and I don't know where it's coming from, but I believe if we just go forward and hold school to the glory of God, God is going to pull this off in some miraculous fashion. The school is going to continue. God raised up the school not to let the unrighteous destroy it, but to continue for the glory of God. So my suggestion is the teachers go back to school and forget these resignations. Really, who cares? They don't have legal status anyway. Let's just go forward, have school, and look to God to provide this financial miracle that we need. And I can tell you, as president of the association, my goal will be pay down debt. I never liked debt. I never believed in it. As I mentioned, in 1971, through a miracle, through God's miracle, by walking in faith, according to this little locket the teachers gave me when I left, by faith, Kingsway Academy. Amen. God raised the school from 48 cents so it was debt-free with a value of $200,000 in 1971. God did that in a very short space of time. The community got behind it, and the community will do it again. And I say, let's go forward in the name of Jesus for the glory of God.
Okay, before we go into questions,
Let me just say, parents, that in response to what Mrs. Kemp just said, we would prefer to be here tomorrow, and we are willing to be here, and we will be here. If that's what you want, we will be here. We will be in our classroom tomorrow. But I will say this, We are depending on you to keep us informed and not to put us in a position where we feel like we're out there floundering like we have been for so long. We are going on faith. Faith in God and faith in you. And I'm counting on that. Thank you.
I think if we can see that happen tomorrow, I know I, as a parent, would be very happy to see the teachers back in the classes and the children back in school, because none of us want them out. But I can sympathize and I can understand why the teachers came to this point, because they're the ones, I know what I've been through the last 4 years and the battles that I've fought and so forth. And I've fought it hard, but they're the ones that are there every day. Every day. We drop our kids and we go. Very long hours. And I want to see the teachers happy. They realize, I'm sure, that there's not going to be an increase in money, so they're not looking to money for happiness. But they want to know that they have some security. They want to have peace of mind and not have to worry each payday whether there's going to be a check or not. And they want to know that we as parents who have entrusted them with teaching their children, care for them and support them, and that they have not only a PTA body that is interested, but also a board that shows not abstract interest, but interest, present, genuine interest, and cares for them, and is concerned for them. And this is one of the things that I found lacking over the years that I've been president of the PTA. One of the main things has been the lack of information that has been given to us. In the last meeting and this meeting, I've had more information given to me than I have in the 7 years that I've been on the board, on the PTA. Okay? I'm talking about full information, not just a little sit here and let me pull you aside and tell you, but you can't tell nobody else. Okay? Because when I started being in the head of the PTA and stuff, I knew a little bit, quite a bit about the debt and so forth. But when I heard the figures put out last month, and even tonight, my heart is not afraid. Although it's a lot of money, because now it's not an unknown fear. You know what it is. We know what we have to do. Mr. Atkinson told us the last time, we have to tighten our belts. The teachers realize this. And so they're not here tonight asking or striking for more money. They're just asking for the money that is due them, and they have to live like we do. They have to pay their bills. And this is why, in my dealings with the various members of boards, I have found the members of this new board to be very compassionate, very concerned, and they have the interest of the teachers, the school, and the parents above and the children above everything else. Now, I'm not going to stand here and feel like, I'm saying that everybody on the other board was bad. I'm not. The previous boards, as Ms. Kemp or Mr. Lockhart said, they weren't properly elected or whatever, but each board served its purpose, did many good things. Under the leadership of some, the school expanded in buildings and so forth, and they did wonderful job. Each one served a purpose. And for whatever reason, although some of us may not understand it tonight, the board that was in place, the old board or the opposition, as they're calling it tonight, they served a purpose. But the time came, and this is, I think, where the danger was. They just stayed too long. And this is why we wanted to safeguard in place that there were term limits, okay? And that the association and the board is separate and apart so that we have a watchdog up there. So right. The teachers will agree to go to work tomorrow. And I'm glad to hear that. It makes my heart happy. But I want us as parents, whether we feel the other board is right or this board is right, I want us as parents to support these teachers. Okay? Because the board is not coming up here to teach. Okay? The board is not coming up here to teach. These teachers are. And I know every one of you was upset, or probably everybody was upset when they had to come and pick up their child today. Okay? I know everybody that upset everyone, and we don't want that to happen, and I was sad to see that had to happen. And I don't want to see it happen again. And this is why, on behalf of the PTA, and I think I have the support of the majority of people, of parents, and I've always said if I don't, I've been accused by the opposition that sometimes that I'm trying to stir up trouble, and I'm not. I've been accused of not having the full support of the parents. If the vast majority of the parents do not support the positions I take, I told the opposition, I will gladly resign. I'm here for a purpose, and I feel that the Lord put me here for a purpose. He's using, if he's finished with me, I'm ready to go. I do not have any intention of being here forever. In fact, the last election, we tried to get parents to run because I wanted to see more leadership come into the PTA. We couldn't even have an election because not enough parents nominated. Why? Because they were so discouraged. And I don't want to see that happen again. And I want us to go forward from here tonight, and I want the other boards to understand that whatever claim they may feel they have, they do not have our support as a whole. They don't have the support of the teachers. In the name of God, go in peace. Now, okay, there's a microphone in the back. Maybe someone could slip it up a little further. I would ask anyone, this gentleman here would like to ask a question, if you could go to the mic so everyone could hear you. And depending on what the question is, we'll have someone answer it.
I would like to inquire, at some point, these problems that the school is having is going to have some closure. I mean, we cannot have this type of instability hanging over the school forever. I have a 5-year-old daughter. You know, these problems can have an adverse effect on her education. Everybody here tonight has children in the school. You know, I want to know how these problems are going to be resolved. I also want to know how the school is going to pay off almost $1 million in debt. Mr. Atkinson has told us that there's about $100,000 in salaries that have to be paid out. National insurance owes $100,000. All of that, there's going to be a day of reckoning on that sooner or later. You know, these are major problems that the school faces, and if my daughter and our children are going to stay here, we need to have some explanation on when all of this is going to happen. You know, there's going to have to be some closure on this. And I think some system has to be put in place that in another 5 years, this type of thing isn't going to crop up again. You know, we can't, you know, the school cannot continue to go on if, you know, this instability continues. And I also think that we deserve to have some explanation on why the school is in the amount of debt that it's in. My child only just started school here, and, you know, I don't have a lot of knowledge of what's going on here before. But I was here about 20 years ago, and school was pretty much the same as it did. You know, why are we in those dollars of debt?
Okay, one moment. Okay, let's have those questions answered. I think there were two questions. One's on the financial, and the other is on the closure.
That we need to see a copy of the financial records of the school's financial statements.
Okay.
You know, you know, we're the people who write the checks every semester or every term to pay the bills.
Right.
And I think we need to have some explanation.
Okay, let me ask someone to address your questions, okay?
Thank you.
As far as closure, off the script again, I would like to suggest that tonight we bring closure to this entire long ongoing battle.
I understand what you're saying about there being no legal problem. You're saying that we have legal authority. Apparently the Supreme Court would think otherwise. We have something that overturns a ruling. I need to know what the consequences of that ruling would be.
Yeah.
As was explained at the beginning, the obtaining of the order in the first place did not establish the legality of Mrs. Kemp and Mrs. Nunez as members of the association. It was a mere confirmation of the position. And to have the Supreme Court say we are taking back the confirmation does in no way alter the original legal position. As to the technical legal closure, I said to you at the beginning that the decision of the Chief Justice that was made on the 17th of December 1998 is under appeal before the Court of Appeal. That side of things, I can make no further comment on that. And as to the timing, that is entirely in the hands of the Court of Appeal. It may be 6 months down the road when they come to determining the matter, or it may be a year down the road. I have no way of knowing. But I can tell you that our faith and our confidence is in God. And the Bible says in Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 26 that many seek the rule of favor, but justice comes from God. So I would encourage you as parents to bypass the court of the Bahamas and appeal to the court of heaven for strict justice. That's what I would say.
I'll ask Mr. Atkinson to address your other question.
I'm not going to go into extravagant detail, but if you've got $10,000 to spend and you spend 15 year after year after year, you just go down. And again, I will quote the Royal Bank of Canada. We were funding deficits. That is, if you run an organization soundly, and I see Mr. Herbert Trico, a man I greatly respect in the business world standing there, you produce a budget, and you run the school or the organization or the company according to the budget, and that budget will be a budget for a surplus. In other words, you're going to take in more money than you're going to pay out. Well, if you start to pay out more and more and more money, then you're going to arrive at this position. So the simple answer is that the school has consistently spent far more money than it took in. Now, who has the responsibility for that? The board, because the board is in the association, gives the board of directors the responsibility of running the school and preparing budgets and spending it properly and so on. Now, they simply cannot put their head in the sand and say they are responsible or he is responsible. You can't do that. So the simple answer is that they were spending money, but I think a cardinal feature was also that they were making capital expenditures with current funds. In other words, I've heard about the great big building that was going to be put up out here. I've heard about the gentleman who came in from the States at enormous cost to yield all the money. You know about the cost of the audit, which is fine, but it's an awful lot of money. All these capital, and there's a building across the road, etc., all these capital expenditures are wonderful if you have the money. But if you don't, then you're simply pursuing pie in the sky.
If you are going to talk, I will talk. I think I deserve to speak because I served 22 years at Kingsway Academy. I think I have a right to say, and there's plenty things I can say, but I wouldn't do that because I don't think there'd be another person left in this auditorium if I was to reveal all that I know, because I served for 22 years. But I would leave that for the night. Anybody else want to talk to me personally, I'll tell them that. But let me give you some experience. Listen to me now. Let me give you some experiences. I bailed this school out twice. Twice. That's far. Right there. Gentlemen, the bank manager, right there. Let me tell you what happened in this school. The former chairman before me, I served as vice chairman, vice president of the association, and I served as vice president of the board. All the time I was on the board. From Mrs. Kemp left the Bahamas. And I could say plenty things about Mrs. Kemp, but I would not say that tonight. I'd like to talk to Mrs. Kemp personally and address on some issues that she said tonight. But I'm not going to reveal all that to this board. This is none of your business.
Mr. Trico.
Just a minute.
No, Mr. Trico.
Okay.
One moment, please. One moment. Okay. We have a...
Okay, it's your business.
One moment.
Okay.
One moment. The floor's been opened up. Questions and answers.
Right.
I haven't heard a question yet. Right.
Mr. Chairman.
Please sit up. No, Mr. Hold on one moment. Let me finish. That's like the gentleman here said, last meeting, no questions were asked, and a couple people made comments. If you want to make a few brief comments, that's fine. If you want to take it out of speech, that's not.
Well, the reason I am standing here, because the impression has been given. The impression has been given. I heard it, the gentleman right next to me sitting, that we got to examine the pockets of the people. You understand?
Yeah.
Now, listen to what I'm going to say. And God help you, because I got 9 grandchildren in this school, and my children came to this school. From the time it was 5, I think one of mine was one of them. Okay? So, you understand where I'm at?
No.
Please listen. This is very important. Because if you want a budget, I got a suggestion to make, which I've been battling with since I was on the board, and I resigned in 1992 for reasons. And, but when I took over as chairman of this board, the former chairman used to send free checkbooks to the administration signed. When I took over, and parents, I want you to listen to this, okay? It's very important. When I took over, the books were sent to me, and I sent them back to the person in charge and told them I don't sign checks for nobody unless it's made out to some particular person or client. That created a situation in the school, but I never backed down. If it meant me coming up to the school 3 times a day and signing checks, I have no problem with that. Okay, that's beside the point. I got to school. I was laying home resting one evening, one summer. I think it was in 91. And the bank manager called me. I'm not the chairman now. He called me. I'm the vice chairman. Mr. Trico. The medicine, we're not talking about what Mr. gentleman just talked about. I'm talking about 10 years down the road. Mr. Trico, the count is above the limit, $20,000. The overdraft is above. And you have 5 teachers on the line with their checks in their hand. What must I do? I said, but I'm not the chairman. I told the bank manager, said, cash the checks and I will be responsible for them. I'm not the chairman. Now, when I became chairman, I put things in place. And Mr. Fox, when I resigned, I went to see Mr. Fox and told him I was resigning because I felt responsible to him. Because I signed documents for this school in $400,000, $500 for $500,000 bracket. Okay? And I felt responsible to at least the courtesy tell. You know what he said to me? He's right here. He said, Mr. Trico, the school has never been in operation better than in the last couple of years since you put things in place. He said, this is a model for the other private schools. That's his word to me. I said, well, I got to show you that if they keep things in place as I left it, the school would be able to pay its way. Lo and behold, I learned a couple of weeks through the grapevine that instead of they continuing on with what I said in the place, they took the checkbooks and turned it over to the administration again. You understand what I'm saying? They don't know what was happening in the school. Now, let me tell you something by experience. I experienced why the school is the way it is. You present a budget, and the budget, they spend things when it's not in the budget. Now, let me speak to the parents. I have 9 grandchildren in this school. If you all want to see this school, and this is something I've been battling with since day one on the board. You see, when Mrs. Kemp started this school, and God bless her heart, she did a marvelous job, and I have no problem with that. We didn't have to worry too much about teachers, because she brought them in and, as missionaries, stuff like that and all that. Didn't have much expense. But things has changed in the last 28 years. Changed. And we try to pay the teachers, and anybody who needs to be paid in this country is the teachers. The teachers need to be paid. Now, listen to me, girl. If you want to see this school continue and get the best education your children can have, you have to pay more money for your fees. Listen to me now. Listen to me.
Quiet, please. Quiet. Mr. Trico, one moment, sir. One moment. I understand what you're saying. Please, let me say something. But we want other parents to also have a chance to say something. Now, what you're saying, I know that and let me go on record. First of all, Mr. Trico raised one issue about somebody saying check the pocket. Let me state, as far as I'm concerned, with whatever knowledge I have, I do not believe, and I say this from the bottom of my heart, that any former board member that I know of, from Mr. Trico's time on down, up until this very time, has taken any money. That's not. I don't believe anybody, if you check the pockets, I don't think there'd be anything. Now, excuse me, one moment, what Mr. Trico is saying, that when he left, he had done sound financial things in the school. And I accept that. And he said he turned over to the new chairman, but let me just say one thing, Mr. Trico. Sir, I remember one time, and I said this to someone just recently. I remember the meeting here that you chaired some years ago, and we were having a controversial matter. You mentioned the fact that you only had a 6th grade education, and what you had done. And I told someone the other day, I said, you know what's the amazing thing to me? Mr. Trico, Herbert Trico, mentioned that in a meeting. I said, under his leadership, the school prospered, and things were good, financially and everything else. And here we have a board with diplomas, and they haven't done a good job. Now, in fairness to you, sir, no one will take that away from you, and I thank you, we all thank you, and to my knowledge, the high school building over there was Mr. Trico's many hours of labor and so forth, and we thank you for that.
Permit me just to finish up with the parents, okay?
Just keep it short.
What I'm saying to you, what I'm trying to say to you is this. Even the Ministry of Education will have to pay 50% of the salaries for all private schools going under, okay? Unless Christian people support the Christian schools. Now, you cannot, the income as far as I see it, based on what I heard tonight, I worked it out, is $2.2 million. The payroll is $1.8 million. Now you figure out, anybody with any common sense, figure out how you're going to operate a school with the rest of us. With the pension fund, the national insurance, and everything else, how are you going to operate a school like that? I've been racking my brain over the years how to operate this school. And my heart is in this school. I feel it's the best school. And I ain't getting into the board or whatever it is. All I know, this document here that was given to me, I don't accept posts unless I know what I'm supposed to do. And Mr. Kemp gave me this document 28 years ago. I live with it. I sleep with it. I come to the meetings with it. And anything within this document, I made sure it carried out since she left. And that's all I have to say. Good night. May God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hello, yes, I'd like to address the teachers. I was under the assumption that the teachers were not going to go back to the classrooms until they received the resignation of Mr. Love. Am I correct? Okay. Mrs. Pritchard has said that the teachers will resume duties tomorrow. So, does this mean that maybe next week the teachers are going to have to go out again? Or the 15th of the month when they don't receive their salaries again? I mean, are they, they're backing down, right, because are they feeling, as Ms. Kemp is making them feel that they're under an obligation? I want my child, as Mrs. Pitcher will know, in school. But I think they should stick by their guns, and I don't think they should feel obligated.
Okay, I'll ask, let me just say this, and then Ms. Pritchard can come up. My understanding, and Ms. Pritchard can clarify this, is that in light of what was said here tonight, that we will support them, and they will go back to work tomorrow. That we're gonna go forward as Mrs. Kemp said, and the opposition,
What
whatever.
sort of support are we talking? I mean,
In that, for instance,
financially, or?
well, no, we're talking about the parents supporting the position.
Well, we do. We all support
Right.
the teachers. I mean,
Right.
they have to live and eat and pay their bills just like everybody else.
Right. Okay.
Mrs. Nixon, those fears that you have are exactly the fears we have too. Okay? But the decision that we made second after was based on what we heard here tonight. And in faith, oh God, help us, in faith, we are coming here tomorrow morning, believing that this is not going to happen again. Trusting God that it will not happen again. And I would like to say to you parents who got out of sorts with us today, because of what stand we did take. I hope you realize now why we had to do it. Because we were scared to death. And we're still afraid. But you have said that you're behind it. Then all we can do is go on the word that we've heard tonight. And that's where we stand.
You can't put the salary.
Should we make 850 innocent children suffer so that we can demand resignations from a board that have no legal status? Why should we do that? Why should we give them that much time and attention? I mean, the children are first consideration here. They're first consideration. Let the board go by the by. If they hand in the resignation, good. If they don't, we still teach the children. Because they have no legal status in any case.
We do.
First of all, good evening. My name is Timothy Adnan. I have really two questions. One, I'd like to first be really clear on who have direct control of the bank account at this moment. And my second question arises from words from the letter that Mr. Atkinson read from the Royal Bank, more or less stating words to the effect that for them to continue to provide financial support, we need, or the school or the board needs to show proof that they have the support of the teachers and the parents. What do we need to do from a legal point of view to give them this assurance, to ensure that our children will be able to come here, be taught, and the teachers can be taken care of?
On the question of what we can do, the teachers yesterday showed, the majority of the teachers and faculty and staff showed what they could do. They signed a letter sent to the board requesting the opposition, I keep getting these words, requesting their resignation and stating that they had faith and support in the new board, and they named them. And they signed, the majority of them signed, and a copy of that was delivered to the OO board, and a copy was sent to the Royal Bank to show, first of all, that the new board had the support of the teachers. We have started a petition drive. We had a number of parents sign on Tuesday. We had to do it sort of in a hurry. I know it wasn't done in the best way. We have that petition here tonight, and I want to go on record as saying I've heard from sources in the opposition that the petition was just thrust to somebody to sign in, people signed it in panic. So I want to say tonight, every member I know that was approaching people, asked them if they would like to sign it. If not, if they wanted time to think of it. If they didn't have enough information, wait. If there's anybody, first of all, that has signed one of these petitions, and you now regret that you did it, you can withdraw. You come and see me afterwards. We'll go through the sheet. We'll look up your name, and you can scratch it out, okay? I think that's fair enough. The second thing is, I want to ask every parent here tonight, some parents signed, if it was us and the wife, some signed for both and so forth. Some didn't sign, some said they wanted to think about it. I want every parent here tonight to consider this. Before you leave here, and I'll give some sheets to several people and ask them to, come outside and people can sign. If you are supporting the position that you've heard tonight, I want as many parents as possible to sign these petitions, because we are then going to send them to Mr. Lowe, copies to Mr. Lowe, but also more importantly to the bank to show that we have the majority support of the parents. And this is what the bank wants. The bank is not interested. They want a good board in place, okay? That's no question. But they also want a board in place that has the confidence of the parents, and that's us, okay? You know, so,
A question on that. While I can appreciate the fact that we could take 5,000 signatures and carry it to the bank,
right.
would that be, first of all, a legal thing for the bank to act on? Because we're still in a legal fight here.
All right, well, I'm
Okay,
gonna,
that's my first question, because the bank from a legal point of view could say that, hey, we got 5,000 signatures from God knows who.
right.
It would appear that we need some legal thing here that would totally verify and clear everything from a legal point of view before the bank would act on that.
Okay, that part of your question, I'll let someone
Okay,
else
and then
answer.
the second part, the first question, who have at this time, as we speak here tonight, real control of the bank account as far as the bank is concerned?
I'll ask someone to answer that also. Okay, hold on a moment, Mr. Johnson will answer that.
Victor Johnson, business manager. First started work here in August of 1990. I've been employed here ever since. I've served about 5 treasurers and about 2 or 3 chairpersons. The last check with the Royal Bank of Canada, our records are held at the Palmdale office. Any 2 signatories of the following: Ted Thompson, Eric Lopez, Victor Johnson, Carol Harrison. Any 2 of those 4. Ted Thompson is the chairman of the new board, if you would call it that. Eric Lopez, treasurer, and Carl Harrison, administrator. Victor Johnson, business manager.
Sorry. Okay, can we, ladies and gentlemen, please, can we quiet down, please?
From the statements just made, we understand that the new board, the legal board, has control of the bank accounts. At present. That's my understanding based on what I've just said.
That's my understanding, yes.
My question now. As a parent, first of all, let me say I'm Stephen Edgkin. I'm a graduate of Kingsway Academy. And I honestly didn't know all this was going on when I was in school. Now I'm a parent, and I remain convinced that this is the best school in Bahamas. Therefore, I take my child here. My daughter's in grade 7, and I'm concerned, first of all, for Ms. Pritchard, the representative of teachers. Are all of the teachers represented by your comments, or are they all here tonight? Because I personally haven't seen my child's teacher. Okay, so I'm concerned to know if the spokesperson for the teachers indeed represents all the teachers. Because it's not going to do for me, for my child to say, all the other classes are in school, but my class teacher is out. You understand what I'm saying? So that's a concern. Secondly, I understand the financial situation of the school. The news of the school fee increase that I received late last year disturbed me, but as we're all moving forward in faith, all right, the Lord's going to allow me to keep my child in school. However, Lord has blessed me with some common sense. Like Mr. Atkinson says, you cannot spend more than you make and expect to stay afloat. If the school is going to, in the very near future, increase the school fees again, I'm afraid that I would be unable to show support for the teachers. I would be forced to put my child out of school. So you have to give me a break. And either which way, I really desire to keep my child in Kingsway. I really desire to show support for the teachers. However, I have other obligations besides the school fees. Right. So we have to find a balance. And I feel I speak for many of the other parents as well. We can't continue to raise the school fees. So if we have to cut back, listen, a lot of the things that we have in school now I mean, yes, this is 21st century. We gotta go back to basics. If we can't have all the fancy paper and all the fancy this and that, well, we have to cut back. The school is deep in debt.
Okay.
So something else.
Let us try to answer the questions. Okay, Andrea? Andrea Williams, who is a member of the new board, will speak.
When we got into the nitty-gritty of the problem, we made a visit to the Ministry of Education because all educational matters, schools, ultimately must be handled by the Ministry of Education. We had a very favorable meeting, and they asked if we endeavor to work it out among the two parties, which we have tried in every which way. The Ministry of Education, one, said that we are a Christian school, and we should endeavor as Christians to get this matter resolved. The second point is that we must have the support of the parents. I'm very thankful that we have a very good representation of the parents. And so, from what we have seen, we know that we have more than half the support of the parents, which would settle that point. They wanted to make sure that we have the teachers on our side. And the next question was that no way could we approve any increase in the fees of Kingsway Academy. So the ministry would not approve any more requests for increase in the fees. So you can be rest assured that there will be no increase forever. They are not, give me a chance, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you please, the lady's trying to speak.
Would you give me an ear, please?
Please be quiet. Thank you.
The ministry will not entertain a request from Kingsway Academy for increase in fees in any way. The ministry cannot offer Kingsway Academy any more gratuity because, as you are aware, please give me a chance. The government schools have their councils now, and they have to get money to run the schools. And therefore, there is no available cash. And we cannot ask you, as parents, you are now the second highest paying fee in the Bahamas. Next is an annual. I was a little bit surprised because I know Susie was ahead of you. And so they say they will not.
Please. The gentleman asked a question. Could we have the attention of everyone, please? The gentleman asked a question. We're trying to answer it. If everybody, could be quiet because we want to, I'm sure we don't all want to sleep here tonight. Quiet, please.
Now, the other thing that I want to get into, I want to motivate you as parents. There will be no increase in school fees. I want to motivate you as parents. You are Christian parents. And each one of us in our own individual lives must have seen the hand of the Lord working in our lives and giving to us when we least expected it. Now, I know the figures are staggering. But do you think that God can provide $5 million for Kingsway Academy? We have to lift our eyes to higher ground. We have to know that this is our Father's world and that He is going to give it. This is no problem. God is going to get the victory. All you need to do is to bind yourself together and listen and follow, and God is going to take us through. You don't have anything to worry about. And I want you to really stand on that. This is our Father's world. He will provide. You come back to me and tell me what God has done for you.
just may I find out, the board of directors, Kingsway Academy, which is the managing committee, are they, first of all, are they Christians?
Yes. You're talking about the past and the present board.
Yeah, both of them.
To my knowledge, all of the past are, and I can say that is a requirement of the school. To be on the board of directors, you have to be a born-again Christian, and the second thing, you have to sign a statement of faith.
Okay, one more thing. Being on the board of directors, are there any requisite salaries to those positions?
No salaries at all. It's all free. And let me just say one other thing. The board that has been put in place now will be serving until October, and at the December meeting, it was announced that invitations will be accepted from various parents who have an interest in serving, so that so that there will be in future a turnover on the board. It won't be. I'm not trying to criticize anyone, but I think it's someone to be there a long time. I don't want to put years, but it's too long. Okay. Now, just to try to move things along, before the next speaker, which I noticed is a teacher, and I'd like to have there, I'd just like to read this petition and have someone circulate for those who want to sign it, so we could save time as the questions are going on. The petition says, if you would just listen to this, and if you want to leave and you want to sign it, come and sign it before you leave. Whereas Kingsway Academy was established as a non-denominational Christian educational institution of learning for students to obtain a sound education and religious teaching based on Christian values. And whereas the Board of Directors of Kingsway Academy, having been entrusted with the responsibility of management for the educational, financial, and social development of the school, and whereas the present Committee of Management of the Board of Directors of Kingsway Academy, having acted in what is perceived to be a deceitful and unchristian manner in the handling of the affairs of the school, and having caused discontent and extremely low morale amongst the entire school body, and having brought the school to the brink of financial disaster, we, the Parents Teachers Association of Kingsway Academy, hereby request your support in a vote of no confidence and in calling for the immediate resignation of the present Committee of Management of the Board of Directors of Kingsway Academy, which you may signify by signing this petition. Now, that is the petition. If you'd like to sign it, no one is twisting your arms. And if you, like I said, if you signed it before and you want to take your name off, come and see me. Okay, Mr. Antonio?
Ladies and gentlemen, I speak as a teacher from the high school. And I think I should let you know that today there were no classes in the high school except in a particular instance where I'm sure the teachers were satisfied that some senior students' education would be seriously affected. But I want to point out to you that the teachers in both the high school and the elementary school, they don't like the idea of not teaching the children. And I have heard various comments of that, especially from the high school, and I have heard it from the elementary school. They don't like that. I, for one, although I get tired of some of the hurt that I am seeing on these students' faces, we want to get on with the business of teaching. And we don't want anybody to talk about sick out or strike or anything like that. All of us hate it, including Mrs. Pritchett. So we want parents to understand it. And I think your primary concern is that your children be properly educated. So this leads me to the next question and comment. I think at this point, the parents, you parents, are the ones in charge. And you should take the decision, take the matter into your hands and do what you need to do to get this thing done. I am not going to be participating in any sick order or anything. We should have to do that. I think what was done today made a statement, made a point, and I'm sure that everybody understands that carefully. We are concerned with the business of teaching. So the question is there a network of communication that is satisfactorily established within the PTA so that flash, all the members, all the parents can be contacted and informed of whatever is happening, and is there a concerted plan to ensure the smooth sailing and lifting of Kingsway out of its present situation. Only the parents, I think, can do this given the mechanism that is in place. So that's the question.
Okay, I would say with regards to contacting parents, I think this meeting, we found the most effective way was having people standing in the parking lot and handing the notices to the parents as they came, because many times we always send notices home with the children, but very few parents, a lot of parents say they don't get them, especially in the high school. So that is one way. And I think, in answer to Mr. Antonio's question too, that I intend as a parent to call every member of that old board and tell them that I do not support them, and I want every other parent here that feels that way to do the same thing. Tell them we have our school running, we don't want any more interference. We want to move on. We don't want any more disruption in the school. And if they really have the care of the school at heart, I know I would. If I was in their shoes, I'd resign. I'd go.
Greg, I almost sat down because my point is the same. And those of you parents who haven't talked to the old board, I want you to know that we have been talking to the old board from time to time, and they have a standard response that the majority of the school is behind them, no matter what you can say, and maybe the petition will be interpreted as a forced effort. So what I'm saying to each person here that has not talked to the old board, there's two benefits. One is that they'll hear from the parents that they think were behind them, because they say they have a flat-out majority. And two, you'll hear from the other side, because so far the only board that's communicating is this board. If they are truly in their own mind the legitimate board, then where is their PTA meeting? And where is their presence? They weren't even here today to explain their position. So I say, each person you can hear the other side. Those of you who still feel skeptical because you haven't heard their position, call them. Paul Lowe and Bruce Lowe and Julia Lee. And to hear the other side, which is always a good idea, and two, let them know after you've heard the other side how you truly feel. Because if we don't go in a direction, we will sink.
Okay, just one quick comment. For perception, 2 years ago when we had the meeting in here, it was very hot and heavy. And we brought the meeting to a close, and we and the PTA executive said we would meet with the executive of the board. I told parents who came to a subsequent meeting that we met with them to discuss, to negotiate. The chairman read a letter, said there were they picked up 4 concerns that the parents had. He read a letter answering those, what he said was answering those 4 concerns. I didn't feel it was. I then said to him, Mr. Chairman, but what were the parents saying to you? I said, didn't you get the impression that they didn't support you? They didn't? No, he said they were only concerned about these 4 questions. So this is why it's important for us individually to let them know, and let them know loudly. Call them up. I spent 90 minutes the other night from 11 o'clock to 12:30 p.m. And I've been very busy lately, but I spent an hour and a half with one board member, pleading with that board member to do I said, even if you are right, do what is right for the school. If you feel you're right. If I am the divisive factor, let me know. If the majority of you all stand up here and say tonight you want me to resign as president of PTA, you have my resignation. This is the kind of response. We don't want people to think that they're there forever. We know what happens when that occurs. So please, call the board members. Take the time. Hear what they got to say. I've heard it all. And I come back to the same thing. After they're finished, I said, but who was in charge? Were you the board? Yes. Mr. Trico said it tonight. They were responsible. He took the responsibility. They were responsible. Mr. Thompson, sorry. Yes, thank you very much. I think that what parents want to see, first of all, is that since we do have a new board in place, since the attorney has articulated that the low board is on shifting sand, then why doesn't the new board take some oomph and take charge? You seem to be afraid to take charge. Get some oomph and take charge. And if you have authority, if you have authority, you see, if you have authority, why are you asking those without authority to step aside? Possession is 9/10 of the law. If you have power, exercise it. You understand what I'm saying? What I'm saying is this, stop patting us on the back and asking us to go and talk to these people. When I own my business and I want to get rid of someone, I don't pat them on the back. I give them a letter of dismissal. Right. Well, just issue them that if you have that authority on that matter. Now, what I want to address is this. The parents love this school. We love these wonderful teachers. No question about it. And I'll tell you this much. What I have seen here tonight, these teachers here have distinguished themselves in the Bahamas. Amen. You do not find this in many circles within the Bahamas. And I believe that it would be fitting if the board of directors would take some time in the near future to note that these people have showed something that has been lacking in this nation for a long time. Now, to put a lid on fear and uncertainty. And we all know that when you come to discuss money, just the mere fact of mentioning that word causes people to, okay. Now, it is apparent that prudent guidelines need to be established to ensure us who are making deposits into the school's treasury that monies do not develop feet and walk away. See, this is a reality now. You need to take the oomph and establish mechanisms in place that, first of all, would lend peace of mind to our teachers who need peace of mind to educate our children. We spend all this time talking about people who don't have no authority. We need to, let's get the gumption to reestablish this. And let's put in place what needs to be put in place. And, you take, for example, Learning CPA mentioned a capital expenditure to audit the books for $45,000. Obviously, there are no guidelines in place to find out how parents feel about it. We need to put that in place. You don't spend our money recklessly like that. Put something in place right now. And on that committee, you need to have some parents, because the money is coming from our pocket. It took us 2.5 hours to find out that our own new board is on the bank account. But earlier, you would have thought that it was still the other fellow. Let's take charge and let's put some things in place. If you don't do this, trust me, my brother. Well, I agree. Trust me, if you do not do this, a lot of parents are going to leave here not feeling very safe. They're going to be wondering if they are now financing losses.
So let's put some things in place and stop trifling. If you need a system in it, make it known, put some things in place. And parents do not want to be informed after you spend megabucks. Parents want to be consulted prior to doing that.
Mr. Thompson, and just real quick, one thing with regards to the teachers and the new board. Let me give you, because they will blow their own horn, so I'm going to blow them for them. Okay? When we found out, hi Pastor, when we found out that, that there was no money there, and when we talk about bonuses now, let me explain something to you. Don't get in your mind that we're looking at 2 weeks, and we're really looking at a Christmas gift, okay? It's not a lot of money, but there was no money there to give this, because you saw Eric tonight, there was no money. And among a few people on the board and some of their friends, the money was raised to give the teachers, to show their appreciation. Another thing they had, one of the things that teachers normally have to do, they end up doing, I think, is washing their windows. I mean, this sounds, oh, you're talking about what is that? But the new board came and with people who were also volunteered to help them and washed the teachers for the windows for the teachers. Why? To show again that they care. And this is the type of attitude that I have seen. And this is why, after what I've seen for 7 years, why I'm so supportive of this. Okay? And I just want to let you know, I mean, that's just 2 of the things that I could mention. Now, I agree with what Mr. Thompson said, and I'm going to ask Mr. Ted Thompson, who's the chairman of the new board, to come up and speak. And when I said about calling the old board, I don't mean to call them to let them know that we have our school, we're running it, and to stay out, do not meddle with it, leave it alone. That's what I'm saying. Thank you. I'd like to, first of all, just identify the members of the new board. Sandra Williams, can you stand? Sit down. Robert Keating, can you stand? Mr. Eric Lopez, can you stand? Charlene Godfrey, can you stand? Edith Butler, can you stand? Fourth member, Victor Johnson. Fourth member is Carol Harrison. Dr. Jeffrey Sweeney. And I don't see one of us, Donna Davis. Let me just make another comment. Because it's to do with the board. Previous, the PTA on other occasions have tried to get representation on the board. They wouldn't hear of it. This board, and I wanted to make this announcement, has already agreed that whoever is the PTA president will be an ex officio member of the board. Okay, means non-voting, but the PTA president will be there to know what's going on. And the other board wouldn't do that. Now I understand they've got that in mind. They told me recently. Inclusive of that grouping is the high school principal, Kelly Hamilton. The elementary school principal is Paul Cooper. I'm a family man, and I like to just stay together. The 2 kids here, we have 2 kids here. My wife's been around for a little while, so I know all the grumbles and complaints, and of course the prayers and the praise that are accompanied by the school and all the things that happen here. I am intimately involved
through prayer particularly, which I believe is the most powerful way that anyone can be a contributor if you're not directly involved. And even when you're directly involved, it is more incumbent upon you to pray even more intensely. I want to respond to your question about why doesn't the present group or board or the current board go with something? Well, that's a favorite byword of mine as a choir director. Sing with it. Sometimes I get excited and I get carried away. But I am guided because we all must be guided, being Christians, by the Word of God. The Word of God outlines in Matthew chapter 18 that if there is an offense in place, give that offender every opportunity, once, twice, and 3 times. After which, if that offender does not respond, then you cut him off. That is the position that we have now arrived at. That is the directive from the Word of God, not from anybody else, that we will now proceed with. Finally, many times, 3 times. You can take it from the Word. Okay. You can take it from the Word. Read Matthew chapter 18 for your guidelines, because that's my guideline. I don't believe in taking away something that God has never given to me. I stand to take my own.
Hi, I'd like to agree with Mr. Thompson, but I've come away or been here now since about 7:30, and I don't see yet where we're going. There doesn't, as Mr. Perot used to say, there's a plan. And secondly, will the teachers be paid next week and the week after? Do we as parents need to pay up? Because these prayers have been going, let me leave that here. We need to put something together to move forward. Just going over the same ground over and over is not helping.
Well, I think